Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kendra and I'm a physician assistant in aesthetic medicine. So today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics as of late because I'm getting really into financing and budgeting now. So this video is going to be about money mistakes to try and avoid after PA school. And of course, this doesn't just go for PA school. If you're graduating from anything and you just happen to be joining the workforce and you're gonna start making money, then keep watching this video for some good tips. All right, so before I get started with tips and stuff like that, I just wanted to do a disclaimer that these are tips that I have learned in my 3 years of working full-time as a PA, and I hope that they help you out so that you're not sitting there and wondering, where did my money go? Because that's never a good thing to wonder about. And I want to help you guys be financially responsible because to be honest, I got really passionate about this topic because, you know, in a PA school, in any graduate school, high school, college, whatever, any schooling, you don't learn about how to handle the money that they teach you how to make, right? So the only place you would really learn it is if you were an accounting major, maybe. I'm not even really sure if they learn that stuff. I'm sure they do because people, you know, are financial advisors and stuff like that. But yeah, so for us out there who are not, you know, accountants or financial advisors or anything like that, we have to learn on our own. And I learned the hard way, which is learning through my own experiences and my own mistakes. So let's get into the video again and get you some tips. All right, so the first tip that I want to talk about is knowing how much money you make. Okay, so let's say you already landed your job, you already signed your contract, you know what your salary is going to be. So now you need to sit down and figure out what dollar amount are you taking home at the end of the day.
Okay, so let's say you make a gross income of, let's say, $6,000. So your net profit, or what you take home at the end of the day, is going to be the amount after you take out all of the taxes. So in this case, I took out 30%, just, you know, if it's 30%, and that would leave you at $4,200 for your net profit.
So tip number 2, now that you know what your net income is, you can now allocate your money in the right way. So for some of you who are just starting your jobs, you don't already have financial obligations, or maybe you do. So the ones that don't get to start from scratch, so lucky you. Thank goodness I made this video for you. So if you start from scratch, then it's easier for you to know how much you should be spending and how much debt or how much monthly payments you want to be taking on.
Okay, so with the same example as before, if your net profit is $4,200, you're going to want to try to spend 70% or less of that money on everyday items such as your rent, mortgage, utilities, car payment, groceries, insurance, etc. And then the other 30% is going to be towards your savings. Of course, I've done a lot of research, and this is just the numbers that I prefer to use. There's a whole other bunch of ratios out there that you can look up and see which one works for you. Also, for the 30% savings, you're going to want to have 10% go towards an emergency fund and 20% of it go to debt and other savings. Alright, so let's use the number from before, the $4,200, to figure out how much we should be spending and how much we should be saving. So 70% of $4,200 is going to give us $2,940 to use towards spending. $420 will go towards the emergency fund, and then the leftover $840 can be used towards debt and or other savings goals that you may have.
Tip number 3. So you really want to think about savings, okay? So we already went over the ratio of what you should spend versus what you should save, but some people aren't in the situation where they're able to save. But let's say you have debt, and obviously you'll have school debt, which we'll get into in another video if you guys want. Let me know, comment down below. But some people have, this debt to pay, and it's important to pay off your debt as soon as possible, but it's also important to save at the same time. So if you do have debt, obviously you want to give some of your extra money that you're making to the debt, and then make sure you're at least keeping your 10% emergency fund, because it's an emergency fund, right? If you are not able to work for however long, you have this backup money just in case. So always remember, debt first and emergency savings first. Try to get those done as soon as possible, and then you can have fun with your money after that. Tip number 4, I tend to lose count. So for this tip, I really want you guys to think about your retirement savings. I know you guys, maybe you're like in your 20s or like, mid-20s, early 30s or something, and you're like, wait, retirement is like however long away, should I start saving now? Like, come on, obviously you should start saving now so that you have more money later on. It just makes sense. It's not rocket science, guys. Save early, have more for later, right? So I personally put my retirement savings into a life insurance that my parents set up for me. They do actually financial education. Mind you, anything that I'm saying right now is not coming from them, because I'm a very hard-headed, independent individual who likes to do research on her own. So yeah. So I have my retirement savings in a life insurance. I also have some in a 401k because I did work full-time salary at 2 different jobs. So I have some stuff in there, I think. But as of now, in my next job, I will not have a 401k because I'm going to be an independent contractor. Tip number 5, don't take on too much debt that you can't handle if you can help it. So let's say you really want your back patio done in your house and it's gonna cost you X amount of dollars. So I recommend waiting and saving until you have X amount of dollars to actually redo your patio. If it's not an emergency, it's not something that needs to be done right away. So you can save up the money so that you don't go into debt trying to get credit cards and stuff like that, because credit cards have interest. Then you would just be paying more than you would if you would have just saved from the beginning and paid for it in cash. Tip number 6, try to avoid credit cards. So I say this because opening credit cards is so easy, especially when you're making money and you're doing a good job making money. Companies are gonna send you stuff in the mail all the time wanting you to open a credit card, or say you're at the mall and they'll be like, oh, you'll get this discount if you open a credit card. Like, no, stop, just stop right there. Just don't do it. So yeah, credit cards are like a trap. They're enticing for you to be able to spend the money that you don't have at this moment because you can pay it monthly in this instead. And it goes against the tip that I just said, which is waiting until you actually have the cash to pay for whatever it is that you want. So I'm not saying don't have any credit cards on. So for me, I want to have 1 credit card, but actually 2, because I have a business and then I want a regular credit card. But obviously it's important to increase your credit, because that's how you get approved for houses and cars and other items like that. So you have to have a credit card so that you have good credit. And my other tip is that you should only use 30% of your credit card. You should never max it out, because that makes your credit score go down. So 30% of your credit card is a safe place, is a safe amount for you to use of the maximum. And then obviously your ideal goal is to pay it off at the end of the month. So if you do want to incorporate a credit card into your money budgeting, then make sure that whatever you're putting on this credit card, you know that you already have the money for it, so that you pay it off every single month and that you have great credit. So yeah, I think that's it, guys. Those are my really quick tips to get you guys on the right track when it comes to handling your money. So knowing exactly how much money you have, knowing how much you should be spending versus how much you should be saving, knowing that credit cards are not your best friend and debt is not your best friend. So I hope you learn something from this video. Go home, or if you're at home now, take out your pen and paper, go look at how much you've been making. This doesn't have to be for somebody who's just entering the workforce. It could be for somebody who is already working and they just want to really sit down and figure out their finances. So you go and do it, figure out how much you should be saving versus spending, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you have any questions at all, comment down below. I'm also going to be having a question and answer video coming up soon, so you guys can ask me whatever you want, whether it be about my work, my lifestyle, my job is my work, my personal life, any questions that you may have, just comment below and I'll answer them in a video. So thank you guys again for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.